Well, so with this, let me just stop sharing the screen now. And we are patiently waiting for Sister Moira, who is there with us. If you can just spotlight her. Yes, thank you so much, Sister Moira. I'm sorry you probably felt that you were supposed to start 1 hour before. thank, thank you for bearing with us. And yeah, before I pass it on to you, I'll just again introduce. You don't need an elaborate introduction. You're not new for us, but we always have new participants. So it's my job to tell a little bit about you. So many people don't know that Sister Moira was a surgical nurse and she also studied the museum administration out of her passion for art. And at this very young age of 24, she set out on this 2 year journey searching the true meaning of love and higher purpose in life. And that indeed led her to meet the Brahma Kumaris in 1986. And from there on, there's no looking back. And as we speak, she currently serves as the director of the Brahma Kumaris in Argentina. She's very cheerful, very light. And if you can look at her face, very, very innocent as well, very apt for today's value. And as always, a few lines for her and the value of today, innocence. So today's guest speaker, Sister Moira, is indeed a very great saint. That's because intrinsically her nature is so innocent. She exuberates through her voice the spiritual scent, which indeed gives the soul conscious feeling of 100%. The jewel of wisdom in her forehead is indeed luminescent, and her behavior with everyone is truly very decent. In today's world, where wars are becoming so recent, people act ferociously without each other's consent, and being with each other so indifferent and indecent, making their relationships so easy to have a dent. But finally, God the Supreme comes to our rescue with his yogi stent, the stent which cardiologists use, the yogi stent, and helps us to prevent any untoward incident. So, with this, thank you so much, Sister Moira. All yours. Over to you.
So thank you, Manoj. You are so sweet with all these introductions. It's your innocence also flowing. So thank you so much for the invitation to this family of values that is, you are so wonderful, all of you, keeping this flame ignited for so long. I don't know of any other initiative that has been for as long. So my congratulations to your enthusiasm, your determination, and your love. So yeah, when you gave me this topic, the first thing that came to my mind was someone whom I met at the very beginning of my spiritual journey, and whom most of you know, but if we have some new listeners in this space, and that is Daddy G. Daddy G was, she was the administrative head of the Brahma Kumaris for many, many years, decades after our founding father, Prajapita Brahma, left in 1969. So she was with us for a long, long time. So we all came to know her a lot. And I think she is the icon of innocence. She was very sweet, and her presence made everybody feel good. There was something about her. It was like she exuberated purity. And especially, she was also known to be very strict, but her strictness was blended with love. She was lawful. She got her ways done, but there was something about Daddy G. She held such a pure vision of each and every one, not only of those members of the Brahma Kumaris, but everybody who came in front of her would feel that Daddy G's vision connected us with something really high about ourselves. And I learned a lot about her because something about her, when Brahma Baba founded this organization, but Daddy made it global. So she had to bring East and West together. And that was not easy because the Brahma Kumaris at the beginning were not only spiritual, but very, very Indian, of course. It couldn't be any other way. But for foreigners, it was not so easy. We had to learn the difference between becoming Indian or becoming spiritual. And Daddy Ji created such a bridge. She had such respect for us coming to visit our headquarters. She appreciated everything we proposed. Things would become quite different from what was happening in India. They would take shape in a different way, not less spiritual, but maybe different context, and she had so much respect. And so she made everybody feel valuable, precious in her presence. And I learned a lot about Daddy. And when I was thinking about her this morning, I thought I would share with you a story, because one of the things Daddy didn't hold in her heart was resentment. And she she had to face many tests in India in the establishment of this organization, which became global, and today it's huge. And yet, there was this, after Brahma Baba left, this little group of daddies, of wise women, but who were very inexperienced in many things of the world, yet their innocence broke through everything. And they managed to sail across so many challenges, whether it was from the media, whether it came from the government, whether it came from the public, whether it came from within the organization itself. And Daddy Ji she always kept herself so light. And I think that a big secret about her innocence was she never took credit for anything, anything great that happened. She would always very humbly let us know that this was really thanks to God. And this made her so light. And, sometimes we used to receive visits of very big personalities, whether it was from the gurus in India or scientists from the West or politicians from around the world. And they were all very impressed by the fact that these mothers, these daddies, like mothers, they were in front of a big organization that was growing rapidly across the world. And whenever they praised her leadership, she always said, Daddy Ji does nothing. And this made her so trustworthy, because it was from her heart that she really felt she was only an instrument, and it was God doing through her. And in this way, she kept herself very, very clean. She had no desire for any praise. And when she was defamed, she was equally bright, And, thinking of her, I want to share a little experience, a story. This year, I was in India. I was at the headquarters in Madhuban, and I received a very long WhatsApp. This was coming from a man whom I know for like 10 years. He was in contact with me by email. Then when WhatsApp started, by WhatsApp. He was always praising the work of the Brahma Kumaris. He said, I always watch your videos. I know of the great work that you do, and as an organization. And he used to, at some point, many years ago, he used to think, how can this come to my city? A place called Olavarria. But when I received, so I've been in contact with him, on and off like this, for many years. And this year, when I was in Madhuban, I received a WhatsApp that he said, I must tell you something I haven't shared with you for all these years, because I was afraid that I would lose you. And so he said, I have been in prison for 5 years. He has still a long way to go. And he said, all my friends, my family left me. And he explained why he was imprisoned. So my first feeling was I should go and visit him. So I wrote back and I shared with him, when you open up and you speak, you can only become lighter and more confident. And I'll come and visit you as soon as I get back from India. So we traveled to to a city nearby his jail. We went somewhere else to visit one of our instruments, one of our teachers who was about to leave his body. He was very sick. So on the way back, we thought we could drive past the jail. We had a plan to visit the jail, but then because our teacher became very, very severe, we decided to cancel the visit to the jail. We went straight to visit our brother Javier. And on the way back, so we thought, okay, because we had lost you have to have a permission, but we had lost everything that we had arranged to visit him. So we thought, okay, we go back, but we won't visit him. But when the brother put, the GPS to the route back, it took us in a different direction from where we had come. So when we were driving quite near that place, I sent a message and I said, if you can arrange for me to visit you, I'm very near and I'll come. So he called me. So I told the brother, stop, we're driving past this place. We could probably visit him. So we went to the jail. We had to turn around in a big highway, and a police person allowed us to turn around where we couldn't turn otherwise. And so we went there, and so we went to the gate, the entrance of this high security jail. I told the person, I said, I want to meet so-and-so. And he said, but this is not a day for visits. This is not even the time for visits. And I said, well, but I really want to meet him. We have come all the way from Buenos Aires. It's 400 kilometers. We want to see him. And the man looked at us as saying, where did these people come from? I was all dressed in white. We were the four of us. And he looked at us as saying, these people are nuts. How can they walk into a high security jail with they have no permission. They're not even, nobody's waiting for them. And I just had this thought, we just need to be determined, and we just feel very light and shine a lot of light. And I just thought I was being so innocent, really. And well, the brother in the car, he teaches at the jail meditation online every Friday. So he connected with the people with whom he normally connects, and they came to collect us to the entrance of the jail. So these men couldn't believe, how come these people, they're walking into the jail, they had no permission. And it was so interesting because, we didn't force anything. We just said, from our hearts, we really want to come and see this person. And this person was in a different unit from where we were taken. So we were taken to the class where the youth normally do meditation online with our brother Gustavo. And so I said, can you please bring this man? I want to meet him. I came specially to meet him. And they brought him there. He was so surprised. Well, we tied rakis to them. We did a celebration. It was amazing. But then when we left there, we just thought, we innocently came to a place where there was no way that we could get in, and we managed. So I really felt, how we just had a pure thought. We were just connected with that beautiful feeling that we wanted to touch their lives. We wanted to tie rakis on them. We wanted to meet this brother. And you won't believe it, but this brother has done the meditation course. He is doing so much service in the jail. He's now going to start a radio program for the inmates. He is teaching, science in the jail as well, but he has taken the responsibility to invite an inmate every day into his cell for a cup of tea, because there's a time of the day in which the cells are open, so they can connect. So he invites them for a cup of tea because they have a heater there. The condition is it is so appalling. You can't imagine the level of how they live there. And yet there is this ignited flame there, and he very innocently he's serving all his companions, and they come to his cell and they have a cup of tea, and then he talks to them something spiritual. He hasn't yet completed his course, but he's way into it. And it just makes me, so aware of how innocence is like a spark of light that touches and ignites that light in others. And it's so beautiful because, in jail, we don't need to know why people are there or even for how long. We just need to shine light on them. And he practices this. He leaves his room. He tries to become like bodiless, like a being of light that can observe his cell, the jail, the whole thing. And he shines light on the jail, and things are starting to move in such an amazing direction. So for me, that is like, I felt I was being very innocent. The way these guys were looking at me at the entrance was like, this, you must be nuts. You're not going to walk into a high security jail just like that. But I just believe that innocence is like a key. It opens the heart. And we see that in children. You could come with your worries and your concerns into a space where there is a little child playing, and there's no way that you won't smile. So his or her innocence will just open your heart and will allow that flow of light. Somehow they will just bring you to where they are. And innocence is something that children are not conscious of their innocence. They are simply very light. They are very, very present. They are not thinking. They're not thinking too much. So, if we go to a kindergarten, we would automatically become somehow light, and we would suddenly be looking at little details, but that they become very meaningful. So this is such beauty of this quality, that it allows us to appreciate the details of our lives. And like you can bring meaning to anything that could be ordinary. Imagine how a child with so much innocence that has a leaf in its hand, and it imagines it's a plane. And we don't need to be naive, as you were saying. We don't need to be naive, which is they don't understand that they are innocent. But we as adults innocence for us is not being naive. It's connected to deep understanding. And so innocence in our life is a choice. It's when we choose to see what is good, to see what is possible, to see what is, sometimes when I think of the daddies, the challenges that they faced, Daddy Prakash Mani, the one I was referring to, was once challenged, and actually by God himself. And we used to have a small auditorium at our headquarters. It's called Om Shanti Bhavan. It could only hold 3,000 people. So he asked her, can you build one for 5,000? And Daddy said, for 10,000. And so she challenged him. And then the brothers built an auditorium for like 20,000. So when there is that innocence now in the form of trust in the need, trust in the signs, you come across different signs in life that awaken higher thinking, bigger possibilities, and there's no fear. This being carefreeness of innocence, we see it in children. Children are not afraid. They'll walk, at the edge of a pool. Adults are afraid that he'll fall, but he's not afraid. He'll just walk, and if he falls, okay, he'll expect you to rescue him, but he has no fear. And this is so beautiful because I saw this in the daddies. They had no fear. And they knew that things could only grow bigger and bigger, and benefit could be more and more, challenges would be more and more, but there was no fear. That there was not the worry, where will the money come from? They knew there was a deep understanding that money will only come after selfless ideas, ideas that will benefit many, that will uplift people, that there was nothing selfish about me wanting to, get recognition about whatever we do or whatever is accomplished. And so these are like hidden ingredients. And people could think the daddies, they are too innocent. Sometimes innocence can be seen as silly, or maybe naive, and like as if someone is not aware of something they should know. But children are not aware. Children just have that state of purity, that they're fearless. They will gradually lose that when they become older. But when we become innocent, there's not anything like not understanding. And of course, innocent also allows a lot of space for learning and for growth and for being, accepting help, being cared for. Innocence will not make us arrogance in that sense. But there is this, it's not naive, it's trust that there is always God's protection when our thoughts and feelings are pure and connected to my benefit and the benefit of others, but also knowing that people need God's help. We can only be instruments. We cannot take credit for what we do. And this is a very, very deep protection. So for once you're asking me what is the difference between naive and innocent. Once Daddy Yankee came to visit me, I was living in Chile, in South America. And I had gone there, I must say, very innocently, because I received a phone call from one of our brothers, who is our director for South Latin America. And he said, Moira, can you go and live in Chile and help the service of the BKs there? And I said, well, I don't have savings. I said, I only have $400. And he said, you don't need to worry. You put your life in God's hands and he'll take care of you. I said, okay. So I went to Chile. I had no job. There was already a little apartment there. So we were 4 foreigners. One was from Australia, one was from Brazil, one was from France, and myself from Argentina. The only one native Spanish speaker was myself. All the others were, Portuguese, French, or English speaking people. And so we all got a job, and whatever we had, we gave towards the service that we were creating together, little jobs, because we didn't know anyone. There was literally no one that we knew. And so I got a job, and I wasn't earning that much. So when Daddy came, she said to me, are you working? I said, yes, Daddy, but I don't earn that much. I think I was only working 4 hours. So then I said I should be working 8 hours. And she said, you shouldn't be naive. And you wouldn't expect Daddy Yankee to say that, would you? And so I didn't even dare ask her, what do you mean by being naive? Because I said, I think when I come back, I was going with her on a trip to Buenos Aires, to Argentina. I said, when I come back, I will work more hours to get more money. And she said, don't be naive. And she said, sometimes BKs are naive. And I thought, okay, what does she mean by that? And it sat back in my mind. I said, why did Daddy say that to me? And then I decided I had to leave that job. And so I went to my boss and I said, I'm going to leave. And he said, you can't leave. I said, well, but I'm going to leave. And he said, well, you will not leave. I said, why do you want to go? I said, well, I'm not earning enough. It's not enough to pay our expenses. And he said, but how much do you want to earn? And I said, double at least for the same time of work. So that was double my salary, but for the only 4 hours. And he said, why didn't you tell me before? And I thought, wow, and this is where Daddy's words came into my mind as she said, don't be naive. And then I thought, why did she say that to me? And why did I wait so long to tell him my work was worth a lot more money? And, this is where I thought being naive is like, it's like the wrong innocence. It's like not understanding your self-worth, the importance of your qualities. He didn't want to let me go because of my honesty. And I was not aware of the value of being, how much I was valuable for him, for the company that I was working in. And this is where Daddy said naive. So naive is like a state of ignorance. It's not exactly innocence. And so after that, I realized, I think, wow, I should have thought of this before. Now I'm going to get double the money for the same time. So I thought, this is smart. And then, but I also, I saw that I was being naive in the sense that I was not understanding the value. But after that, I thought, okay, now I need to be very honest with myself and appreciate my presence at work and how much our qualities, the value of our qualities. And this is where I think innocence is a big gift, because it's something we need to cultivate. We don't need to know that I'm important anywhere. I don't need to, but I need to somehow appreciate my presence somewhere. And it's like a choice that we make. We don't take credit. We naturally can be precious, whether it's at work, whether it's at your home. And what makes you valuable is that you will choose to see benefit in everything. And this is where adults are consciously innocent. They choose. When we cultivate innocence, we will choose, for example, to see and not to see. And this is something that in the Brahma Kumaris, it's like a practice that we try to inculcate. You may be seeing people expressing very wrong behavior at work, at home, in society, in politics, wherever. The thing is, I need to make a choice. First of all, if I'm going to feed on that somehow, if I'm going to allow that to come into my heart. So there is a responsibility in seeing, but then not seeing, because innocence is like a shield of protection. When we choose not to, we see it, but we choose not to, is when we decide not to dwell upon that, not to feed on that, not to allow that into my heart. So seeing but not seeing is like, if we see someone making a mistake, am I going to point at that? Am I going to comment on that? Am I going to scold that person? Or am I going to, it's not ignoring, but it's allowing it to be. And maybe the choice, the innocent choice, is how I respond to that. Am I going to support the person in some positive way? Am I going to just allow that to be and hold a very high vision, a vision of hope of someone who may be, going through a crisis or making mistakes just out of their own habits or stubbornness or ego, whatever. But I think that the first aspect of innocence is that it protects me. You know, children, their innocence, although it's unconscious innocence, they don't think that anyone is manipulating them. They kind of, you know, when you meet a little child, they'll come and run, open their eyes, and they'll come into your lap in such a beautiful, they don't think that you're going to hurt them. Even if, you know, things around them are not safe, they will still see something positive. Sometimes, even when their parents are harsh on them, little children will do their best to survive to the violence in an innocent way. They will try to, you know, see whatever is loving about their parents because they need them. Innocence in childhood is a form of dependence. They depend a lot. So they don't, I can't say that they won't be affected at all, because trauma does, you know, it does go into their subconscious, and maybe things that happened in childhood, we very innocently sailed across that. It will pop up at some point in the form of a trauma that needs to be healed. When we are adults, we choose to protect ourselves, and sometimes if you don't respond in a you know, very reactive way to someone mistreating you or you know, humiliating you, you could be seen as a fool. You could be seen as someone who is not very smart in terms of taking care of yourself. But the innocent one is not a fool. The innocent one is wise. And the innocent one will not only protect the self from being hurt, but it will protect the other from hurting them, you know? So it's a very elevated choice. And in this, who comes to my mind is another of our daddies, our senior co-founders, Brahma Kumaris, Daddy Janki. She used to know everything about us, everything. She was someone who would, her vision, you know, her drishti, would scrutinize each one of us. So there was no way you could hide from her vision. But she would just very lovingly say, Bolo, speak. If you come to her because you want to say something, she will listen. And she will really know. Maybe she knew, you know, how we play games, how the ego hides itself, victimizes itself. Daddy always knew. She was too wise not to know. But the way she related to us was kind of innocently wanting to know more about good things we did. She would refer to our strengths. She would refer to our qualities and our capacity. She was always stretching. And she knew maybe how bad we have behaved. She also maybe knew about a big mistake that we could have done. But she would never, ever punish. She would choose to, in a way, make you feel that she would fully always support you. It's not that she approved of our mistakes, but she would support our goodness. And this is the greatness of an innocent soul, that in face of anything dishonest, she would go beyond that and see the goodness. And this is something we can cultivate. I think that the greatest enemy of innocence, and when you gave me this topic, you know, I thought, although you told me, Manoj, a while ago, I was thinking these days when this day was coming, I thought there is a call of the time. The call of the time is to come back home to our innocence. We all need to cultivate this precious quality. And the greatest enemy, I think, is criticism, when we are unable to go beyond what, the superficial aspect of conversations, the things we hear, the things we say, when we just get stuck in the form of things, in just the result of actions. So we become very judgmental. And this is a big obstacle to our innocence. And we step out of our own dignity and we feed on defects, on mistakes, on the negativity that we have carried from the past, grudges that we might have held or still hold in our hearts. So I think that the aspect of letting go is very, very important to as a way back into innocence. And letting go is not so easy. If I let go of a glass and I put my glass on the table, it's so easy. But letting go of the habit of being driven by negativity or drawn by negativity, even, sometimes we do such good things and we say, yeah, everything was great, but, and that but brings us right down, whether it's about me or about something we did together or something someone else did, as if, this perfectionism makes us such, we become such harsh judges of ourselves and others. And letting go is really an act of creation, because we can let go of things, physical things, easily, but habits will take some time. And our mind will not accept if anything as a no. I can't tell my mind, don't think of this. I can't tell my mind, don't look at this. It doesn't register no, because it is a creative force of the soul. So I can only approach letting go by asking myself, what is it that I want to change? What would it look like? What is it that I would like to experience? Maybe I want to repair something. Maybe I just want to change, my habit of criticizing, of commenting, of having an opinion. And this is all an ego trip. It's easier said than done. But if we take some time to talk to myself, to go really deep into the understanding that these weaknesses are not really part of my spiritual DNA, then that understanding will allow me to look then, okay, if this is not what I want, then what is it that I want? I need to look deep within my qualities. My innocence is really touching base with the original purity, the DNA of the soul, and coming back to the recognition that I am peaceful and that I am loving, and that deep, genuine desire and the right of coming into the experience of who I really am. So I need to focus. I can only let go if I focus on what I want. So letting go is forgiving or forgetting. I can only forget if I forgive. And so it's like, and forgiving, sometimes we may think it's about, apologizing, because I may have said the wrong thing to someone. And it's good if I apologize, it repairs at a superficial level, but forgiving is much deeper. It's really touching base with my sincere, honest desire to do good, to express that which is value and meaning for myself and for others. So forgiving is about this determination of shifting from these negative, critical thoughts and vision into a pure, accepting, understanding attitude towards myself and towards others. Because we know that the way we treat others is how we will be treated. And however much I criticize and object people's behavior, that much I will be criticized. It will only be the return of the seeds that I'm sowing in the garden of my own life. So it's a question of self-respect, a step towards loving myself, to protect myself. And innocence is the shield, because it doesn't mean that because I let go, people will change. They might change as a result of being more inspiring, as a result of their own efforts or their own aim. But if they don't change, I can still be protected from my own not accepting how things are. I can be protected from my own negativity. And this is where innocence not only allows me to see and not to see, but it also goes into hearing but not hearing. And these are lessons that we've learned in Brahma Kumaris. And it's not so easy, because we hear comments, when you sit with a cup of tea with someone, how long can we hold a spiritual elevated conversation? For how long before we shift into something that is not necessary? It may be waste. It may not even be negative, but it's probably not even necessary. It takes a lot of courage to stick to a high aim of being very innocent, very pure, and, overcoming whatever negativity I have been holding on to in myself and expressing that. So once someone asked Daddy G, how come, Daddy G, you are so sweet and so pure? I don't know if any of you who are members of the Brahma Kumaris, have any of you seen Daddy upset or Daddy angry, or out of herself? And I'm sure you haven't. I'm sure you haven't. And someone asked her, how come you are so sweet and so pure? And you know what she said? She said, well, I accept everything God says about me. And, what vision does he hold of her? So if he sees her as a jewel, she accepts that. If he sees her as a right hand, she accepts that. It's a challenge. She has to be up to it. And it's very interesting, because if each one of us asks us, what vision does God hold of me? What does God feel for me? What place in his heart is my place? And I'm sure that if we go deep into that, we can only dive deep into our innocence, because he can only love us because of who we are, because of how precious we are to him and to the whole human family. But now, once we look into his eyes, we'll have to live up to it. And that takes a lot of courage, because that means that the image that I've held of myself, innocence doesn't need to be smart. Innocence doesn't need to prove itself. With little children, they're so innocent. They do great things. Sometimes they do ask their parents, I remember when I was a little girl, I was a very good swimmer. And I used to love diving. So I used to, used to use the springboard a lot. I used to call my mother, Mom, look at me, Mom, look at me. I just wanted her to see what I was going to do. And in that sense, they like to be, they offer their parents whatever good thing you do. But really, an innocent person is not claiming fame. You don't need to prove yourself. And this is when I think we start enjoying our own greatness. And this is also when I think of, how God can use us when we become not only innocent, but humble, and we can allow him to stretch our capacity. You never know what wonderful things are going to happen in your life. And we just need to be ready for it. Sometimes when you look back and say, how come I did this? Well, it can only have been out of a very innocent acceptance, like you just said yes, probably not even knowing what you were going to do. And yet he did wonders through you. So I think we all want to go back to our innocence. And it's like being present. Children are only living in the present. This is why they're so light. This morning I spoke to a nephew that I'm going to go and visit. She's the granddaughter of my sister. So I told her, she's only 3. I said, I'm coming on Monday. I'm going to have lunch with you. And she just looked at me, what does Monday mean to a 3-year-old? Nothing. I could have said it meant nothing because she's only in the present. Either you are there for her now or you're not there. And Monday means nothing to her. So she's only really present. She's not dwelling in the future. Even if you tell her on Monday, I'll take you for a walk to a beautiful park or a river, it means nothing. She can only be present. But she doesn't either remember what she did yesterday. So this is a beautiful gift that we can take from children. Be present, just be present. And this letting go is a way to just, we have learned, we do carry lessons from the past. And if they made me any greater, or if I learned something that I value, then good to remember the past. But sometimes we just dwell in the past and we lose our time and we're not present. And in the present is the only time of creation. It's the great opportunity. So this is a gift that I love watching kids. You could, when I'm at the airports, because I travel a lot, there are the only thing that draws my attention at the airports is when I see little kids. I love watching kids. And once there was a scientist from Cambridge who came to Argentina, and my health was not well, and she said, and so I told her, I'm going to be taking care of this, paying attention to this, because this can become something more serious. There's nothing about it now. But she said, you know what, Moira? You need to become like a child. She said, and I said, in what way? And she said, you need to be amazed every day. Allow yourself to be amazed, surprised. And this is so interesting. I started thinking and watching, how come children are always amazed? You know how they drop one thing and they go to another as if that thing they don't even see it. Now they're somewhere else. So they have somehow an ability to focus and concentrate in whatever they're interested. And I think this is very beautiful. I think this is part of our innocence. And just focus on what is necessary is not so easy, but it's something that we can cultivate. So, Manoj, I don't know if my time is up or where I am at with time, but maybe I leave it there.
No worries, your time is up, but we were enjoying listening to you. So thank you so much for this beautiful examples related to your private life and also your personal sharings about Daddy Prakashmani and even Daddy Janki. So it was wonderful to hear that. And Thank you so much for that. And I'll invite Sister Claudia now to propose the official vote of thanks. Over to you.
Thank you.
Shanti, I am in your hemisphere. I'm the south. I'm in Brazil. So it's nice to hear you. Yeah, it's very nice to hear you. Actually, I quite like when you were talking about the jail and you showed there to see, but not to see, to hear, but not to hear. You did not see the problem and you did not hear them say you cannot go. So you are just innocent, but with a deep feeling that that's what you want to be. And that's why you got it, because your pure desire. So this was a very nice way to see what you see, but don't see, hear, but not hear. So be innocent on that. And also how the other point I quite like also when you talk about the call of the time is to be innocent. I really think that is the call of time. To be innocent, don't see much, don't hear much. It's just living the best that we can. Thank you very much, Moira. One time I hope that I can go to Argentina to see you there.
Yes, come.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh,
Thank you
Shanti.
all very much.
Thank you. So before going to the closing meditation, over to Sister Anu for the announcements and the photography.
Yeah, let's quickly get into the announcements. Great sharing, Sister Moira. Thank you so much. Honestly, the sharing from your life, so practical, it helped. I'm sure we all have taken a lot, and we should revise the session and get more about innocence practically in our life. So the upcoming next session for Values for Life series is episode 105 on authenticity or genuinity. In Hindi, it's called Pramanikta. And for that, we'll have Mike George, who is an author, spiritual coach, and management tutor from UK. So he has been in our series. So save your date. It's next Saturday, 21st of December, same 7 a.m. for Westcoast US, Canada. That is again 8:30. That needs to be corrected. Time has changed. So 8:30 p.m. for India time. So join us then. And followingly, we'll have the workshop on authenticity and genuinity with Sister Deepa from India. She's the senior Raj Yoga teacher. The first hour will be experiential exercises as we did today, and the second hour will be the insightful talk and meditation. It is on 28th of December, Saturday, same time as today. So 6:30 a.m. here and 8 p.m. in India. This is our beautiful calendar that we share in the emails, whoever are in our email list. And yeah, you can check us out on our website for more information. That's vihasa.in and vancouver.brahmakumaris.ca. You can also check our YouTube channel for all the videos, including today's, in different languages. And these are the playlists for the Values for Life talk series and the workshops, English and Hindi. So you can check us out there as well. And as we always do, this is the photo time. We have got the gift of Zoom and gift of this virtual photo, that picture that, makes it memorable. This moment of innocence. So everyone, can I see the smile? If anybody still want to open their video to be a part of this video, this photograph, please open your. I got it. Thank you. Thank you, Sister Moira. Over to you, Manoj.
Thank you so much, Sister Anu. And then let's now go into the closing meditation with Sister Moira. Thank you.
Thank you. So let's take a deep breath and let's go into that sacred space behind our eyes. And as we breathe in, And out, we let go of any tension in our body. And as I look inward, I'm able to connect with my own presence. I see myself as a very beautiful energy, that living being, the one that shines through my eyes, through my words and attitudes, through everything I do. That is me, the spiritual being, the one that has traveled a long, long way, learning and moving on. And as an innocent being, I make the conscious choice to make my life so valuable, so precious. I create the determined thought to only see what is good, to appreciate myself and others, to allow things to happen without taking any negativity. And as I go deeper into myself, go into the experience of my original peace, that feeling of calm, the pure feeling where I'm safe. There's nothing to worry, nothing to fear. I can always be me, a peaceful being, a loving being, very true to myself and others. And as I go deep into silence, I'm able to come into the presence of the one divine, the source of pure love, of unlimited peace. And as a child, I allow that to fill every corner of my heart. This is the eternal union between I, the innocent child, and God Supreme, my Father, my Parent, the one who protects me with His love, with His truth. I am never alone in this sweet relationship and belong. And as I come back with a deep feeling of joy for being the one, the real me, the one who I truly am, I can only feel trust in whatever I do. As an innocent soul, I will protect myself. I'll protect others. With a pure vision, with pure feelings, with pure attitudes, pure words. And as I breathe deeply and exhale, I will allow this feeling to go all around my body as the light of innocence spreads out all around me. Om Shanti.
So thank you so much once again for your wonderful sharings and the beautiful meditative experience.
Thank you, Moira. Thank
Thank
you.
you all. Have a lovely week.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Sister Moira. Thank you, everyone. See you soon.
Thank you.